This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up, Real MVPs, Rookie Widmer here, along with the Mark Weber.
Dub them East.
And we are back for another edition of the Onside Kick right here on Most Valuable Podcast, one-stop shop for everything pro football. I love that I can say that. Oh, and by the way, I was at Monday Night Raw last night with Johnny Carlick, and there was an advertisement at the stadium for the XFL.
Of course.
So they played one for the XFL, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing. So yet again, we talk about a little AFL. We're still an NFL-based podcast. A little AFL next year. Oh, that's right, the AAF. I keep calling
the
it
Alliance.
the AFL.
Just the Alliance.
Yeah, I know. I called it the AFL, though, which is totally
Very
wrong.
different.
The Alliance, which our team... I'll be honest, I might be. After one question for you, and this goes for any sport.
Okay.
New sport comes up, you pick a team. Do you have the right to jump off the boat after year one, or do you have to
Do you
stick
get a
on?
do-over?
Do you get a mulligan?
I feel like the only way you can get a mulligan if it's not for, like, you know, the Apollos, basically.
Okay.
Or, like, you know, you can't be a...
So I can't become an Orlando Apollo fan.
Yeah, you can't be sitting here right now as, let's just say,
Like us.
a lowly Dolphins fan. Sorry, Miami. And say, I'm going to cheer for the Patriots instead. You can't just go from the bottom to the top.
Yeah.
It's got to be like, the Stallions, I just kind of like their style.
I just asked that because, yet again...
Our team's terrible.
Well, we picked the Express for the same reason. They responded to us first on Twitter. Which
They've got good social media.
Their Twitter game is fire, but they're on the field.
They got to be
play
good
is
at something.
Not. But yes, we talk about all pro football. That's the point of this. XFL too. When it comes, we'll mention XFL stuff. Your boy, or who used to be your boy in Chicago, is going to be the coach in Tampa. Why can I not? Grey Cup guy.
Mark Trestman.
Mark Trestman.
He's not my boy.
He's. I said used to be your boy when he was here in Chicago.
No, I was never into Mark Trestman. From the very start, I didn't like Mark Trestman.
He's going to be a coach in the XFL. But
that was
today,
a classic. Can we have Bruce Arians? No, we get Mark Trestman.
No, we get Mark Trestman.
Great.
But today is our mock draft 5.0. That means, Mark, guess how close we are to the end.
Very close.
This close. That means we are close to April, which means after the 5.0, we will have a live mock, which we did last year, where the MVP guys
I'm so excited for
get
it.
in one room. We all get teams, and we basically go through the draft live, make some trades, kind of talk about some picks that we make. That will happen mid-April. And then just before the draft, 2 weeks before the draft, Mark and I will have our final 6.0. Here's the question I want to ask you live on the podcast that I have not prepped you for.
Okay.
For the 6.0, do we do what we do over on the fast break where, okay, we haven't done trades up to this point, but Mark, if you want to do a trade for your 6.0, go ahead.
As every year this question comes up, I personally am against trades in a mock draft when you have multiple people doing it because it just throws things off.
Yeah.
But also the other reason I'm against trades is when you don't have to deal with any repercussions, people just go, yeah,
Sure, that would work.
32 up to number one. That makes sense.
Like the one I saw, this was before Nick Foles signed, obviously. When the Jets were just like, hey, we might trade our pick. I saw on NFL.com it was swap firsts this year.
Yeah.
Give me next year's first, this year's second, and Leonard Fournette. I'm like, it's kind of a lot to give up just to move up from 7 to 3.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it with, like, Antonio Brown going for, what, a third and a fifth, I think was his asking price.
Yeah.
And then someone's like, we're going to give out 3 first-round picks to move up 2 spots. You know, it's just, it doesn't, we don't get it. It doesn't make sense. So that's why personally I'm not into it. I love it for the live mock draft because then you're actually dealing with other people.
So what you're saying is our 6.0 will be chalk, no trades.
That's my personal preference.
Because I'm not going to be that guy that goes, hey, I'm going to do trades if you do trades.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to be that. Plus, for the website, we'll have my yearly, or can I say annually?
I mean, yeah.
7-round mock, which now's the time of the year where I start to dive into that, and I slowly go crazy picking 7 rounds for every team. But before we get into our first half of the first third of the mock, make sure to check out patreon.com/mostvaluable podcast. That's where you can help support us. $10, you can join a podcast each and every month to talk about what you would like to talk about. And we got some cool new rewards coming in April, so be on the lookout for that. But Mark, how we do this is we split it up into 3 segments. The first one, we go 1 through 10. So before we talk about what we're going to talk about, I will kick it over to you to give us your top 10 for your mock draft 5.0.
All right. I'm excited about this first pick because this is the first time this entire time I've done this, all the way from our way too early mock draft.
Did you have him there?
I've had Nick Bosa number 1 overall every single time.
I like how the way too early you have Nick Bosa down. Me, just to be an asshole, Joey Bosa.
Yeah, there you go. So, number 1 overall to the Arizona Cardinals. They're going to go with Quinnen Williams, defensive tackle out of Alabama. Big surprise pick, and I would love it. 49ers, Nick Bosa. Duh, because he's there at this point. Defensive end out of...
You're sure not Joey?
I'm going to go with
take
Nick.
Joa. Okay.
I don't think they can get him.
Joa.
I'm pretty sure that Joey would be like, wait a minute, what? Actually, he might be like, San Francisco sounds kind of nice. Anyways, with the Jets going with Josh Allen, outside linebacker out of Kentucky. Raiders going with Montez Sweat, defensive end, Mississippi State. Bucks, Devin White, the linebacker out of LSU. Then, number 6, the boring pick, it's another one where it's just this every single time. Dwayne Haskins, the quarterback out of the Ohio State University. Then we got the Jaguars going with Jonah Williams, offensive tackle, Alabama. This one is just a blessing for the Lions. Greedy Williams, cornerback out of LSU. We got Bills going with DK Metcalf, the wide receiver out of Ole Miss. And then finally the Broncos at number 10 overall, going with A.J. Brown, wide receiver out of Ole Miss.
Yeah, the thing I'm looking at now is
Wait, hold on. I gotta make a switch too.
Okay.
I am switching A.J. Brown to Paris Campbell.
Okay, so you're going to swap those. We'll let you know where A.J. Brown goes to. But I am also, while you were reading yours, I'm probably going to make a... Ooh, they really don't need him. I'm going to make a switch as well, so give me about 2 seconds.
Also,
this should have been done beforehand. I'll be honest, I thought about it earlier in the day, and I didn't know if I was going to push this button. And you know what? Screw it. I am going to push the button. So I'm going to switch the 2 guys that I have for it. And then we will get into my top 10, starting off at number 1. Same thing as you, Mark. I have had Nick Bosa be number 1 to the, Cardinals.
Technically Joey Bosa the first time.
So I had Joey Bosa. Then I had the Raiders take Nick Bosa. Then I had the 49ers take Nick Bosa. Then I had the Cardinals take Nick Bosa. Then I had the Cardinals take Nick Bosa.
Yeah.
For the first time ever. And I have bought in. I haven't bought in. I've bit the bullet. That's what I'm going to say. Kyler Murray, number 1 to the Arizona Cardinals. Then at number 2, the 49ers can't get the ticket up to the podium quick enough to say, oh my God, they passed on Nick Bosa. Here, we'll take him. And they take him at number 2. Then at number 3, the change that I made. Originally had Quinnen Williams here. Decided last second, nope. Jets are going to say, we want Josh Allen. We just got C.J. Mosley from Baltimore. We need someone else on that linebacking crew that can give us a pass rush on the outside. So they're going to go with Josh Allen, the outside linebacker from Kentucky. Then the Raiders, who I had going with Josh Allen because they needed a pass rush. They could go Montez Sweat here, but I'm going to have them go Quinnen Williams. It's just too easy of a pick right here for the Raiders. Then the Bucks, they're going to go Montez Sweat, the defensive end out of Mississippi State. Then number 6, the New York Giants, they're going to stay chalk, what I think I've had them the entire time taking. Dwayne Haskins, quarterback from the Ohio State University. Then number 7, the Jags got Nick Foles. They need somebody to have him get the ball too. Let's go ahead and get DK Metcalf, the star wide receiver from the Underwear Olympics, known as the NFL Combine. Then at number 8, the Detroit Lions taking Rashawn Gary, the defensive end out of Michigan. Then the Bills will go Greedy Williams, cornerback out of LSU. And then rounding everything out, the Broncos will take someone to help protect Joe Flacco, Jonah Williams, the offensive tackle out of Alabama. And the first thing I want to throw in there is I just want to mention my switch. Was that a smart switch for me to make, or should I have kept Quinnen Williams to the Jets and Josh Allen to the Raiders?
I mean, it's a little unfair because I have Josh Allen to the Jets, so I obviously think that's a good pick. But
but
Quinnen Williams
gone. And the thing that people find funny is it wasn't last draft. I think it was the draft before. Yeah, you had Quinnen Williams in the 3.0 at 14, and I remember that one because people were like, "That is criminally low for Quinnen Williams."
Yeah, stuff happens.
But he wasn't even on the board for you. So, like, for me, that's where I was like originally, Quinnen Williams, but now I'm thinking about
if you're going to pick one of these two guys, I would take Quinnen Williams over Josh Allen.
So I should have left is what you were saying.
Probably. But, it's too late now. It's already happened.
It's already out of the mouth, and that's why I'll need to change some things for the Raiders moving on. But the first team I want to look at is the New York Jets. And this is something that let's be honest, the last few weeks coming into this, I'm like, we should talk about this for a topic. But I'm like, no, we need things to talk about on the mock draft, so let's save it. The Jets have said ever since the end of February, hey, we are open to trading the number 3 pick. Before we talk about who could move up, should that be the MO for the Jets, is to trade and move back, or should they sit there and go, hey, we're expecting Josh Allen to probably be there. Let's go ahead and just stay chalk and make our pick at number 3.
Man, you know how confusing it'll be for the Jets to have a Sam Darnold and a Josh Allen on that roster?
Well, apparently the Bills, I found this out today because it came out, the Bills were furious last year when the Jets moved up to 3 because the Bills originally wanted Sam Darnold.
Interesting. It's a wonderful thing to find out, especially when you're
a year later.
Wait a minute. You guys got me. But for this one, obviously, if you can trade back for the Jets, you probably should in this case. They're in a weird spot because they're in that, hey, we've made a lot of moves. We spent a lot of money. We're trying to get to that place. I mean, they got Le'Veon Bell. That's a big deal. We're trying to get to that place where we can make the run at it. But as much as I want to say they're trying to win now, I still think that the Jets are going to be 1 year off from it. And I think they can kind of embrace that. Instead of just going with the best player available, get more draft capital. Now, you got to do it if you get multiple first round picks. Yeah. If you're not getting multiple first round picks, screw it. Just take them. Take Josh Allen. Even if it's Quinnen Williams, even if it's Montez Sweat, it doesn't matter who it is. You've got some valuable pieces you can take at number 3 overall. It's a big deal. But if you can make a trade back, then yeah, sure, make it happen.
Well, and just to throw out there, last year when the Jets did the same thing, they moved up to number 3. They moved up from number 6. They gave up their first rounder, so they basically swapped first rounders, and then gave up 2 second rounders for this year, or 2 second rounders for last year, second rounder for this year. And for me, I kind of sit there and I go, looking at the Jets and their picks, right now they have a first rounder, 2 thirds, a 4th, a 6th, and a 7th.
To me, not good enough.
You don't have a lot of draft picks, and you got a lot of needs. You got 6 picks total. If you can go ahead and get, even if it's like not even the same number picks, even if you get 2 picks for this year and a pick for next year, that might help you because then that'll push you. You'll basically swap first. That'll probably be understood. But then you'll get 2 additional picks. If one of those is a second, now you'll have a first, second, third, and 4th.
But I still want, the only way I'm doing this on the Jets is if I get multiple first rounders.
So you wouldn't do what the Colts did last year and say, you know what, we're good with second round picks.
No, I wouldn't because right now you're number 3 overall. You're going to get a game changer at this spot. Second round, quite a few of those game changers are gone. If you're just gonna try and get back what you lost last year, that's an issue. And the Jets have not been that great in the draft recently, so they really need to hit hard on this one and just do the sure thing. You're kind of getting a sure thing when you're number 3 overall.
Let me ask you this then: who trades up Who is even interested in trading up to number 3? And if Kyler Murray goes number 1, can you just kiss the opportunity of trading that pick away?
I feel like if he goes number 1 overall, there very well might be pressure on the Giants to say,
we got to get Dwayne Haskins.
We got to do it, because if we don't, Dolphins could jump us. Redskins could jump us. One of these other 2 teams can do it.
Yeah.
So there might be some pressure for them to say, fine, we'll do it. Because if you've got your guy, you got to go get him. It's pretty much that simple. That's really one of the few spots. I mean, it's got to be one of those teams trading up for a quarterback. I can't see somebody else unless there's a team that's just sitting there. Could be a Lions saying, no, we really need Greedy Williams, and he's available. And he might fall to us, he might not. The odds are that he probably won't, so let's just go and grab him.
Yeah, I mean, for me, of course, I had them, hey, Greedy Williams is there, we're going to not take Greedy Williams because I like the pass rush for them. But the thing that I even think about, and I'm kind of tossing in my head, is let's say you're the Jets, and you're like, hey, we could take either Williams or Allen here. We're kind of not we're not winning on either one. And when I say that, it's like we'll be happy with Allen, we'll be happy with Quinn and Williams, and one of those 2 will be available if we were at 5. Could it be a situation kind of like what we saw 49ers and Bears, where maybe it's not necessarily for a Kyler Murray, for a quarterback, but let's say how our draft, my draft pans out, because yours has Quinn and Williams off the board. Well, you know what? Screw it, because you got Kyler Murray. In either situation, it works, because Kyler Murray has been one that people have kind of linked to the Raiders because of John Gruden talking about it, but also Josh Allen is there for both of us at 3. And the Redskins have said, or not the Redskins, the Raiders have said, we need a pass rush. Could this be something where the Jets pick up the phone, ring, ring, hey, Mike Mayock, we got a nice pass rusher here. We got the number 3 pick. What you offering? Could that be an enticing move
for the Raiders?
Could that be an enticing move for the Jets to try to do to trade the pick? Because let's say the Raiders then go with the other option away from Josh Allen. Cool, we get the pass rusher. If not, the Jets could, of course, in my situation, say, you know what? We'll just take Quinn and Williams. Or, you know what? We'll just take Montez Sweat.
I can't imagine that the Raiders would pick swap with the Jets when it's not a quarterback. If Kyler Murray's there and they want Kyler Murray,
so like your situation, they
could. Would? No. I still don't believe that they're going to move away from Derek Carr right now. Doesn't mean they don't do it for next year, but I don't think they do it.
Could be a Tyrod situation. Hey, Derek Carr's the starter. Kyler Murray's going to sit under him, but we know how that worked out with most of the rookies this year.
Yeah,
I think Sam Darnold was the only one that started day 1.
Yeah, and to me, I can't imagine with John Gruden being there. John Gruden to me doesn't seem like the guy who's like, "Yep, we're going to sit and wait and be patient." No, John Gruden's the bam, we're doing it now. Kyler Murray, you're starting. You're my grinder.
Yeah.
That's what I see happening. But yeah, I can't imagine that switch for this one because, especially in my case, I mean, Josh Allen goes, fine, we'll take Montez Sweat. Perfect.
See, for me with the Jet, if you would have asked me this question a week ago or before free agency, the answer would have been totally different. Like, hey, the Jags could do it, the Dolphins could do it, the Redskins could do it, but most of those teams have kind of, I mean, the Redskins, Case Keenum, that's only a year. They could honestly be like, no, fuck it, we want Kyler Murray because Case isn't the long-term answer. But at the same time, the Redskins could sit there and go, no, we're fine if like a Will Grier or a Drew Lock or a Daniel Jones is there and we'll go ahead and take them. Or they might be fine with saying, no, we'll take a quarterback in the later rounds. Yeah. The Dolphins, who we're going to talk about later, they are a team that has made some quarterback moves. They are a team that we've talked about trading up. They are a team that also, do we look for one this year or next year? Right now, the only team, Jaguars too, signing Nick Foles have changed. The only team quarterback-wise I see trading up is the one you said, the Giants. Because if they sit there and go, I don't know if Dwayne Haskins is going to fall to us, plus it's the whole season of, what am I thinking of? Smokescreen season of like, hey, we're really liking this guy. Hey, let's hope they really take him. Or hey, let's hope they buy our bait kind of a thing. the thing I have a hard problem wrapping my head around is someone trading up to the Jets, like you just said, like with the Raiders. If it's not a quarterback, they don't do it. I have a hard time in my head seeing a team trading up for a defensive player.
Yeah.
But I don't think
there's
it's
a lot
of
good
question.
ones. I mean, there's so many good ones in this draft. So, yeah, I don't buy it right now.
Like, there's part of me that wants to say, hey, does someone fall in love with Montez Sweat enough to say, you know what, we need, or falls in love with Josh Allen enough to say, hey, we need a pass rusher like that. We need to move up and get him.
I'd be surprised. There's just a lot of good defensive talent.
Well, you mentioned his name. Let's talk about him. Everyone and their grandmother says we talk about him too much, but he is the biggest name in this draft. I am sorry, people. Kyler Murray. Why did you have Kyler Murray out of your top 10? Don't tell people where you have him, because we'll get to that. But why did you have him outside
Here's
your
the
top
thing,
10?
and I've had him in the top 10 before, but when I look at my top 10, I don't believe that the Cardinals need a quarterback. I don't believe that the Raiders need a quarterback. So that leaves me, the Bucks, I actually think they do need a quarterback, but they themselves have said we don't. So unless they've been smoke screening since Bruce Arians' job interview, I'm not buying it, which is totally possible, but still.
I mean,
so you got
we're
the
all buying
Giants
it.
who do need a quarterback, although the Giants still might not even take one. They might still say, we'll wait till next year. We're going to be probably bad this year anyways.
Yeah.
The Jaguars don't need it. The Bills don't need it. The Broncos just traded. They could still do it, but they don't really need it.
Broncos and Redskins could both do it.
Redskins are not in the top 10.
Yeah, true.
So, to me, there's no room. Where would he go? And I still say Dwayne Haskins is a safer option. He's not the sexy pick, but he is a safer option. You have an undersized in both height, he is short, and weight. I do not buy that he's going to be above 200 pounds when he's actually playing in the NFL. And even if he is, that's still pretty small for an NFL quarterback. And he had bad interviews. They said he was bad on the boards. So the football IQ might not quite be there. He's a guy who has never really been pressured. And I know we've harped on it so much, but I still sit there and I see that Dan Patrick interview and say, wow, that was bad.
Yeah, and
the mental is what concerns me in that case.
Here's the thing. A lot of guys have come out, Bill Belichick being one of them, have in the NFL kind of industry, I'll say, have bashed Casserly's comments. Of like, the Bill Belichick one was the one where I was like, ooh, Bill being savage as fuck. Where he was basically like, yeah, well, there's a reason why he's not the GM of the Redskins anymore. Because he wasn't doing a good enough job. And, like, Bill Belichick can say that because he does the GM work for the Patriots. So, I mean, with those comments, like, I know we talked about them right after the Combine because that's when they happened. But the thing I look at is, like, with Kyler Murray, yes, same thing, similar thing. I think you brought it up when we talked about him. We were bashing Baker Mayfield, and Baker Mayfield has proved us wrong. So, like, I'm not saying that Kyler Murray
in 1 year. I mean, I am a fan of Baker Mayfield and what he did.
But let's see what he does year two.
Yeah.
You're basically, the way you feel about Baker is how I felt about Dak Prescott. Where everyone after Dak's first year was like, oh my God, the holy Dak. And I was like, no, let's pump the brakes, people. Yeah, let's see how he is year two. And he kind of fell from grace a little bit. And no, still made the playoffs, but kind of fell from grace. And there are people out there that think that if he didn't have Ezekiel Elliott, he'd be a different kind of quarterback in the NFL. But like for me, the reason why I put Kyler Murray at number 1 right now is because from what I've seen the Cardinals do in free agency, I was like, you know what? Screw it. They're going to take Kyler Murray because if the coach loves him and the coach feels like I can make this guy work. As soon as I saw that Terrell Suggs signed a 2-year deal with the Arizona Cardinals, and right now, the way that our lads has him on the depth chart is because of how they have things kind of spaced out. Like they have Hassan Riddick on the outside. They're going to put Terrell Suggs at the left defensive end to pair up with Chandler Jones. That's why for me I was like, oh, maybe they don't have to take Nick Bosa here. they can go ahead and take
Well, they don't have to
Kyler
take
Murray.
Nick Bosa. Get Quinn and Williams right in the middle.
Well, they've got Kim Dichie and also Corey Peters as well. So it's not
I'll take Quinn and Williams.
It's not like a huge, and that's the thing, and that's the tough thing about the Cardinals is you have a tough decision here. Where like with the Browns last year, we were talking about which quarter. Like I know we did a video of like who the Browns could take, and we talked about non-quarterbacks.
But it was quarterback.
We talked about
you knew
Saquon.
it was going to be quarterback.
Which quarterback are they going to take? And number one was the true question. Whereas with the Cardinals, the first question they need to ask themselves and answer, and this comes from Cliff Kingsbury because he's going to be the one coaching, is Josh Rosen my guy? Can Josh Rosen be successful in my offense? It has nothing to do with, I know like Brandon Swanson on our big board was like the Cardinals should take Kyler Murray because Josh Rosen sucks. It has nothing to do with that. The only thing you have to answer is can he work in my system and can he be successful? If the answer is no, then the question becomes, can Kyler Murray? If that answer is yes, you take him at one. If it's not, then you look at the defense.
Good coaches will always make it work with the players they have. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to a Super Bowl with the players they have, but they will get more out of them.
But at the same time, I mean,
if you need a gimmicky player like Kyler Murray to run your gimmicky offense, you're going to have a bad time. It's really that simple.
You just memed us. Mark memed us all.
It's that simple to me. And that's why it's like for so many people, and there's so many mock drafts right now that are saying Kyler Murray, they're all just buying it. They're all biting in. And it's totally possible. It totally can happen. If the Cardinals pick him, I will not be surprised.
Yeah.
Will I laugh? Probably. But I will not be surprised. Now, if that happens, I just don't buy it. Like I said, he is small. Even at 207 pounds, he is going to get crushed by, any just average defensive end or linebacker and will crush him.
And that's the thing. I heard this said
And who's protecting him?
I heard this said on NFLLive.com, and you hit the point exactly, where they mentioned, hey, he was behind one of the best. I've said this before on podcasts too. He was behind one of the best offensive lines in college and faced limited pressure. And when he was facing pressure, he was able to escape and make runs. What's going to happen when he faces pressure at the next level? When he's behind an offensive line like Arizona? Oh, wait, they don't have one.
Exactly. And there's been plenty of people that are saying that he is a guy who he doesn't get rattled. It's like, well, he hasn't had the opportunity to be rattled because he's not really. And the one time he had the opportunity against Alabama,
he did get rattled. Just ask him football or baseball. He'll get rattled.
Yeah, exactly. The one time he had to face, he faced Alabama, what, twice? Last year, or was it just the one time?
Just once.
Just once? Oh, that's right. Yeah. So anyways, he faces Alabama, and there were some rattled moments in that for sure. I mean, he still did well. He still made some really good passes in that game. But I just don't buy it. Is he going to get drafted high? Probably. But I just don't see it working out. To me, he's going to be one of those guys who, and it's funny that he's like the most talked about player in this draft. Kind of reminds me a better football player. Let me put that out there. But it reminds me of Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow was the most talked about player in the draft. Give it 3-4 years, he's gone. Because it just didn't work. And it's not that Kyler Murray can't play, because Kyler Murray can play.
But here's the
Kyler
thing.
Murray's problem is just he's never going to be healthy.
Here's the thing I want to throw out, and this is the thing I hate about the Tim Tebow comparisons, and this is where Kyler Murray doesn't have this problem. Tim Tebow's biggest problem to me was his release. Because Tim Tebow
That's
had
not what
that
I'm talking about. I said
circular-
Kyler Murray is a good football player. He's a better football player.
Well,
It's just that the best, and I already put it out there.
I also want them to realize that you're not saying that Kyler Murray is like Tim Tebow.
I already put it out there,
Tim
but
Tebow
to be fair.
they had a lot to work on.
Yeah, but the fact is just that they're good players. One, kicked out because he wasn't a very good football player. Two, quarterback. Two, was kicked out. For me, I think Kyler Murray's going to end up gone or just as a backup. He's going to end up like RG3. He's going to have a few good years. He's going to get hurt, and he's going to be gone. He's never going to be the same from it. I just worry about that. I said it with Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel took too many shots or too many risks in college that when it's going to be NFL big boys hitting him, he wasn't going to survive. We never got to find out with Johnny because of other things, but...
Here's one game that I always bring up, and I always like, if I'm an NFL scout, watch this game tape to tape, from beginning to end. Watch it. It was way earlier in the year. The date of this game was September 22nd. And I know what you're saying. Ricky, that was beginning of the season. He had grown since then. This was a game where Oklahoma at home played the Army Black Knights, who at the time were 2-1. They ended up being 2-2 after this. This was a game where Kyler Murray and Oklahoma needed overtime to beat Army, and probably would have lost that game if it wasn't for a big defensive turnover at the end of the fourth quarter, where Army's quarterback went 3 of 8, because they don't throw the ball much, especially in that one, 40 yards, 2 interceptions, and this quarterback had 25 carries for 102 yards. Now, you could be sitting there going, well, they played a gimmicky offense, and they got close. But my big question is, yeah, Kyler Murray had 3 touchdowns. Why was it so close?
If it's a team game, though,
if Kyler Murray, but I'm saying, if Kyler Murray was so good, which didn't have a terrible game, but I'm looking at it and going, if you're the number one guy, why did you almost lose to Army? And like you said, it is a team game. It's not like basketball where you can kind of lean on one guy. But with Kyler Murray, do I know for sure if he's not going to pan out in the NFL? No, we're not psychic. But I'm just not in love with Kyler Murray.
There's just too many red flags to me. And I know we've had quite a few guys who have only started 1 year in college, then go out. But
and he's a guy that started 1 year, has been in college for 3 years.
Yeah. Which kind of makes a difference, but still only...
You have to, Ricky.
Still only 1 year of playing time. But I think of a guy like Mitch Trubisky in this case, which has some similarities to Kyler Murray and athleticism and all that. But
And Mitch only started 1 year and had a good year.
Well, exactly. And Mitch is still learning. He still has progress to make. He's not a perfect quarterback yet.
And didn't make most of his strides until he got Matt Nagy.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean that Cliff Kingsbury can't bring out Kyler Murray like that. But if you draft a quarterback in the first round, cast him aside immediately for another guy who doesn't really pan out right away, takes a few years for him to get there, like I've said before, that's the thing that gets a GM fired. Exactly. That's when you go, we're making too many bad decisions. We need a clear direction. We need to make it happen. So Kyler Murray instantly gets a ton of pressure put on him by getting drafted by Arizona in that case. But yeah, to me, there's too many red flags. I'm not willing to take him. And even though he says he's all in on football, I don't buy it.
Yeah, with me, it's just I look at, and here's the thing I think about. With the offensive line, with the wide receivers you have, how successful will Kyler Murray be compared to Josh Rosen? And I have been one to where I am not. I've been on the keep Josh Rosen train because I don't believe Josh Rosen is a bad quarterback. I thought that he had a bad rap because his coach shouldn't have been a head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. I was never a fan of Steve Wilkes from the beginning, especially after I saw them play football. It was clear that he should not be the head coach of the Cardinals. But also it's like, what if Josh Rosen is this year's Trubisky? And I'm not saying Cardinals in the playoffs, but I'm saying like even Jared Goff, where it's like you had a bad coach. Goff had Jeff Fisher, Trubisky had John Fox, where these coaches didn't understand how to use them. They get guys that understand how to use them, and Kingsbury could be looking at it and going, no, I know how to get the most out of Josh Rosen. We have our quarterback. Of course, they're not going to say anything. I think that this is a big smokescreen. The whole reason why they haven't declared, like, no, we're not taking Kyler Murray is because I feel like if the price is right, this pick could be moved. I'm not saying they should, but for the right price, I think they will move the pick to try to get more draft picks. And that's the reason why they haven't said definitively or not where they sit with Kyler Murray to try to throw some smoke at it. But the last guy in this segment I want to bring up is Montez Sweat. Huge combine. We talked about him after the combine. I want to ask you this. We both have him in our top 5. if you had to put a prediction on it by the end of this draft cycle, so we get to the first round of the draft, how high is he going to get by April 26th? Because right now you have him at 4, I have him at 5. Is he going to rise more than that?
I don't think he possibly could, is the big thing, especially with the heart condition now. I personally don't think the heart condition hurts him because we get one every year.
Yeah. Well, we had, friend of the show, Mo Hurst had it last year or 2 years ago. Star Latuele was another one.
We get them all the time, and it really isn't that big of a deal for their draft stock. But to me, still, it's Nick Bosa, Quinnen Williams. You got Kyler Murray in there. You got Josh Allen in there. Even Devin White, who's just off a little bit. Dwayne Haskins, maybe if someone trades up. I can't. I have him at 4 overall. He can't possibly go higher to me. Pro day aside, you have too many sure things. I don't think that he climbs up any higher.
The only way I see him going higher than where I have him is there's only one situation I see him going higher, and that's if the Cardinals take Nick Bosa and the 49ers decide we want a defensive end more so than a defensive tackle. And if the 49ers at 2 with Bosa off the board want a pass rusher on the outside. That's the only way I see him going above 5, because I sat here and looked at this top 5. I think that Josh Allen, to me, is the clear number 2 pass rusher in this draft right now. Quinnen Williams makes things so interesting because he's one where it's like, yeah, he's not on the outside and he's not a pass rusher, but he's so dominant inside and he's so athletic to where you sit there and you go, can we pass on him? Can we physically pass on him and not kick ourselves in the butt if we do, to where I feel like this might, in 5, might be where the cap hits for him. Obviously, another thing for mine that wasn't in yours is Kyler Murray. If Kyler Murray goes above, of course, he gets pushed down from 4 to 5. But if Kyler Murray wasn't there in mine, he probably would have been then the 4th best, 5th best. I don't even know. Yeah, the Raiders would have taken him. Yeah, screw that. The Raiders would have taken him at 4 if he was even there. But he's a guy where I don't think, and I'm looking right now, Yahoo Sports has said that he's not going to get a medical recheck. Gil Brandt tweeted on Tuesday that Sweat won't be called back to Indianapolis for a medical recheck. Brandt also wrote that decision makers from several teams that he'd spoken with all said they would pass Sweat on a physical. So that to me tells me right away that nobody right now is scared.
Yeah, he's fine
of the heart condition. And I think that he's solidifying himself as a top 5 prospect in this draft. Any team, any person in this top 10, you're like, you know what, we didn't talk about, but I want to say a little something about.
Not necessarily, but I do want to put just a couple promises kept here. Said DK Metcalf was going to go to the Bills, and he did. Said that in our thing about how he's a great fit for what they've got quarterback-wise.
Yeah, I said that, and then I was like, ooh, the Jags are going to get him
Made it happen. But then for the Broncos, it's not really that the Broncos have him. It's more of just that Paris Campbell. I said he was a guy, too, where I said I loved what he did in the Combine. He was a climber. I made him climb.
Yeah, Broncos will be interesting. They need somebody to protect.
Wide receiver's not a super high need for them.
Yeah, but giving Joe Flacco pieces to throw to never really hurts. But tell us what you guys think, both of our mock draft and also the things we talked about in this first segment.